Hey, my name is Marcus Brian Ward. A lot of you, if you know me, you may know me as Brian Ward, also Dr. Ward of Eastern Pines Dental, and a very select few of you know me as Tooth Fairy, and that's a different story, and we'll talk about that here in just a minute. But the reason I'm talking to you today is I was asked in relation to the Exodus run, raising money for their challenge, what was the push behind the drive to help people with addiction, substance abuse, suicide, things like that. And I didn't really know what the drive was until I sat down and thought about it. And I guess the drive really comes from my life. And I work out with F3, which is a fitness group in Little Washington, and we had people that came into the group and they had been through their challenge. And in the mornings when we would work out, at the end, we hold a circle of trust and we would pray for people. And there was constantly guys in the group saying, hey, pray for such and such. He's struggling with this. Pray for such and such. He's, dealing with addiction. This person here's cousin or brother, just committed suicide. And so we were hearing it over and over. And after a while, we actually had a guy come into the group. His name was, we call him Elmer Fudd. The F3, you always get a nickname, of course, hence Tooth Fairy. And he mistakenly told us that he liked to hunt rabbits when he was a kid, so that's why he got the F3 name. But he had actually gone through the Dare Challenge program.
And you did the program, and it worked, obviously. Like, you're doing great. Yes, sir. I went in the program September of 2021. I had been convicted of 2 felonies. I was addicted to heroin and fentanyl. When I went in there, I was coming off of my second overdose, and I was 230 pounds, and I was a broken man. And when I went in there, they changed my life. That place really saved and changed my life.
Another guy, Cody, that I met through their challenge, their testimonies were just really strong.
Doing heroin at the age of 16.
It's crazy.
Yep, and at age 22, I got in a bunch of trouble, and the door to Dare Challenge opened up. So I walked through it, and it changed my life. I came in a broken man, hurting, and it just changed everything about me. I can't imagine not going through it.
And it kind of inspired us with everything we were hearing, him coming into the group, to see what we could do to help out, just because it seemed to be so abundant. My family has always had struggled with addiction. Just about everybody in my family at some point has dealt with addiction. Not to say they're bad people, just struggled. And myself, I've had my problems in the past. And I'm a high school dropout. Nothing I'm ashamed of. I've done really well in life since then, but I'm just proof that God looks after fools. My drive towards this kind of started with my grandfather. My grandfather is Bill Winstead. A lot of you, some people in the area may know him. He had a couple of stores in Little Washington. By all accounts, when you hear people talk about him, he was a good man. But he did have a dark side. He was a severe alcoholic, and alcoholism finally, killed him at some point. But he was a severe alcoholic, and he would come home sometimes and be violent. His son, my uncle, Wayne Winstead, my mom would tell stories of him my uncle having to hide behind the door with a Pepsi or Coke bottle, and when my granddad would come in, we had to hit him with a bottle, because they knew he was going to be violent or abusive in the house. Well, my granddad, he died of alcoholism, and my uncle Wayne, at 43 years old, he had 3 kids, wife. He was struggling in life, and he committed suicide at 43 years old. His daughter, my first cousin, Connie Winstead, she actually, when she was 49 years old, went out to her dad's gravesite and committed suicide at his grave. And so you're talking about, a grandfather gone of alcoholism, a son that we could certainly know had issues because of what he had to deal with as a result of his dad's alcoholism, committing suicide. And then what his own daughter saw, my cousin, she committed suicide just following in her dad's footsteps. These were just normal people, just like you and I. My granddad owned stores. My uncle was in the military. He owned stores, businesses in the town. My cousin Connie, she was a college graduate from East Carolina. These were just people that were dealing with dark pain. A photo that you're going to see here in a minute, this was my 8-year-old birthday party, and I'm the only person alive in that photo. The other guys that were really good childhood friends of mine that were local to this community, they're gone, and they died of heroin overdoses in their 40s. And there's plenty more names that myself and a lot of you watching this could add to that list. You know, my mom always talked about my uncle and would say that before he committed suicide, he was just really down. He would ask her to come over sometimes, and she would, but she had kids at home and a busy life like we always do. And she would always, not necessarily blaming herself, but she would always make the comment, what could I have done? Could I have, went over there more? Would it have made a difference? I think about that a lot when I think about the childhood friends that have passed away from overdose. I knew exactly where they were at. I knew where they lived. I knew what they were going through. You know, what would have been different if I had taken the time, been man enough to drive down there? It's an inconvenience. You know, we're all inconvenienced. We know about people like that, and in this, when we get off work, we just want to go home and go in our lives. But what if I had taken the time to go see one of them? I don't know if it would have made any difference. Probably not. But at least I would have tried, or it could have. I don't know. We're taught that Jesus spent most of his time with the beaten, the downtrodden, the tax collectors, the prostitutes, the people with ailments. And, was I better than Jesus? Did I think I was? And evidently I did, because I didn't take my time to go reach out to these people and try to help. That's where F3 came in. F3 is a group of guys, and they're just really good men, and they don't think they're above anybody. If you need help, those guys will be there. They're tried and true, and that's why they stepped up, said, "Hey, let's see if we can do something." And we've raised the Exodus Run with the help of all of our sponsors, with the help of F3 members, help of people in the community, and especially the help that Hall Branch Church gave as well. We were able to raise $20,000 for their challenge, and that money will be presented in about a week or two. And that's fantastic, because that's going to really go help some people in East North Carolina. That is boots on the ground, people making a difference today. If we see somebody struggling, maybe it's not too much to reach out and say, "Hey, is there anything I can do for you? You want me to come over for a little while?" Invite them somewhere. Take the time to reach out to them. If you have children, speak to them, just like I showed you with my grandparent, with my grandfather, my uncle, my cousin. I mean, what course could have been changed if somebody had reached out to my granddad? If there's something that you think that you want to accomplish in life, you can do it. If there's a change that you think that needs to be made, it might be small, but you can change your life, and you can change the lives of those around you. We don't have but a short time on this planet, so there's no need not to be bold. If you feel like, hey, I want to do something to try to make a difference, and it doesn't even have to be this topic. It doesn't have to be drug addiction. It doesn't have to be suicide. It can be anything. You can make a difference. You can be bold. We have a very short life, and there's no need not to live it boldly and do what we can to help others. And, for some of us, and I'll put myself in this category, I need help myself, and sometimes the only way I can find that is by helping others. You have the power to change somebody's life. Thank you.